So Ethiopia, I don't think, has camps, at least in the rural areas. I'm sure in Addis Ababa, maybe in Hawassa, some kids are familiar with the idea of camp. But it's not like in America where you say, do you want to go to camp this summer? And people know what you're talking about. First of all, I'm pretty sure the word for camp in Amharic is kamp. And they don't have an Amharic word for it. And to try to get them to understand, you know, I was like, it's, you know, we go there and we're going to learn, but we're also going to play. We're going to sleep all in the same place for a week. And they were just sort of like, okay, you know, it's a weird concept, and I don't think it's something that they've encountered before. So it was difficult just trying to get people's minds around like what I was talking about, and I don't think even when we left they had any idea what was going to happen to them, and their parents didn't have any idea either. When I first heard Peace Corps was doing a camp, I sort of assumed that Peace Corps would be running the camp, giving a lot of the logistical support and leadership to the camp, and that the volunteers would be, you know, support and like sort of the grunt people. Kyle Abalalo, Marina Abalalo, Ray. And then over time, when we weren't hearing a lot about camp, it became clear we had to have a meeting and plan a camp ourselves. They come out in the morning, but I mean, like, do we have specific times?
Basically, it's not filled in. Till like 7 o'clock.
And then we had our first meeting and it seemed really disjointed and I wasn't sure. Like, I was nervous about logistics and just, you know, we're spread out all over a big region of Ethiopia, and I was concerned that we wouldn't have enough time to communicate and really get all of the logistics set up. Maybe that's another thing we can see if Nikki and Terry can do today, is like scope out shadowing. So we ended up having a lot of leaders emerge that took over specific areas. So once that started happening, that felt a lot better. So the general theme of the camp is life skills, and what's great about life skills is that you can put a lot of different things under that category and call it life skills. We knew we had to have an HIV day, and plus that's what we're here for. So we definitely wanted an HIV focused day, which was Friday.
It stands for abstinence. So we try, when we're young, we try to not have sex. We try to abstain, but it's difficult and sometimes we fall. So now I want you to try again by yourself. And if you have trouble, you can step over to the other plank if you need to, okay? Go so, Gus. This is the path of abstinence, and it's difficult. So if you fall, always use a condom. That's the lesson.
So this brings us to HIV. Why is HIV so scary? Why is it so terrible? It's because HIV attacks the CD4 cells. It takes your halophilos away. It takes them away and makes them not useful anymore. And then your body can't fight diseases. So then the Weba comes or Woodfun comes, and your body doesn't even fight, it doesn't know what to do. And then the other days are trying to be focused around other life skills themes, like getting to know you, which also also included getting to know yourself.
You're really good at basketball, or you're a really good friend, or you're very nice. Then you write that. You'd write basketball, or you write nice. You know, just what makes you you? What do you want people to remember about you?
And then decision making and culture.
Scavenger hunt! No, we're good for the time being.
Is that it was found and I don't know.
Is that part of your game?
No, there's no remote control in the game. An energy drink, which a lot of people in America like to drink because it gives them energy to work all day long. American football that we play in America, but you throw it instead of using it with your foot.
But some people call this a football too. So they're both called footballs, depending on what country you're in.
The most profound experience I've seen with campers here has been with the Hawassa Street Boys. There were 7 of them, and they were literally found sleeping on the street in Hawassa by one of our counselors, and he invited them into camp. And the first couple of days, it was really clear who the street kids were and who the other kids were, because first of all, the other kids sometimes weren't super respectful toward the street kids and weren't accepting them, and there was some exclusion going on toward the street kids. And the street kids came with ripped up pants and no shoes, and their behavior was pretty terrible for the first 2 days, you know, and it was just difficult. You take a kid from the street who has complete freedom and never answers to anybody, and you put him in a really structured environment where literally every minute of the day is planned out, and they can't even leave for the bathroom without raising their hand and then asking. So for them, it was just a huge culture shock to come into this kind of environment. And so it's not surprising that there were some problems at first. But I think it was really amazing that by the end you saw the other kids interacting on equal terms with the street kids. The street kids were participating in activities. They were putting themselves out there. You know, they don't have good reading and writing skills. They don't even have good Amharic skills, actually. They speak Siraminyo, which is it's a local language. But they'd be willing to take a pen and a paper and sit down with a translator and work through, and you know, they're writing out things in Amharic that I think they might have been afraid to do earlier on in the week. I think there was just a real sense of acceptance, and those kids were sweet by the end of the week. They were just present. They were responding to authority without any kind of negativity. They weren't. They were transformed, and I think the other kids around them were also transformed. And I think it's really a cool thing that I think in the future these kids will have different ideas about poverty and different ideas about what homelessness means, and a lot less judgment about it. And there are so many different approaches to behavior change. Peace Corps doesn't have the funding to do a project this big, and for PEPFAR to be willing to give us flexibility and let us have fun with the kids but also teach them about HIV, I think is really powerful. Because if you sit in a room with a bunch of kids and you're up in the front of the room with a blackboard and you're explaining modes of transmission, that doesn't mean anything to them. They just memorize it so that they can tell somebody else later. But what we did this week is something that they'll carry with them, hopefully, for a long time.